private living, my bedroom, my effort when I do my thoughts, creation, research. And sometimes you do not respect my basic rights, my guarantees. It's amazing. We could have your sense as senseless behavior that puts you in a terrible situation, criminal offender. You had no guts to dismiss the variables. You kept them and you had no courage to assume all things you did. You are a fraud as a conjuncture. And by this, in the very first week, I suggested to consider the claim a new nationality for me. I do not belong to this crap despite I'm living in this environment. I have no choice. I could prove one more time that this kind of offensive behavior go in a diffuse area as consumed, considering the cloned mobile, the violation of DNS to I do not have the access at my cybersecurity offered as a service by Norton using the Google DNS or things like this allows us to switch the order of proofs, saying that you are a criminal conjuncture with criminals going at top checks at least by silence. Since 1988 up to 2022 with global events on in the interval 2007 up to 2022 as present time. The prevention had the target as Europe 2024, America, and current time as repressive control Japan, Asia. And absurd, we are using the scheduled events at the sports arena. We had our security plan offered, which is an astrophysics program to prevent risks coming from the space maybe. Then we will check that this kind of behavior as you could have, which is your systematic aggression, with which is oriented against my research until have me with the density functional applied as an academic research with anti-crime purpose, go in a very first moment as controlled by Budge, the second, the individualization as chairs, considering that are inside the buildings that perpetrated a conjunctural failure by the bound as our financial paper. These kind of things, when you do this in the same way, I have the interest at my research. Here is your behavior. I have the interest as institution with legitimacy to act, considering the development of things I did as economic and financial control, the control with individualization by bombs, and the astrophysics program, which is our security plan offered as a portfolio, and you violated this. We will ask you now, as you can observe a change at the time, we are inside the trial week 8. Considering this, in the same way you did at least twice against the NATO and against all interests at my research and effort since at least 2018, criminal offender in Brazil with association as transnational organized crime on public budget, individualized by institution and signatures on budget with transfers at banks. Can you have the answer of this simple question here that we will make to you as a creditors committee, represented that source by the founders as itself in flesh and blood, despite you do not like. I like you very, very much, especially because it doesn't matter which will be the next president in Brazil. It's assumed that we have a criminal behavior as conjunctural failure that you will pay every single penny inside that charge as 33 trillion as compensation, kick-off as research, plus 3 trillion as financial punishment, kick-off as research, 1 billion as harassment case by all things you do in the same way you are doing on present time, and 2 billion by your dishonest behavior observed that goes at the model by a failure, the cowardice to put them out, and the cretinism to insist in the failure that destroyed you and put you down as a criminal scam organized or at least structured in Brazil in the interval with the transnational organized crime unit. Please ask to Brazilian system considering all chairs integrated by corruption. If you had the entrance in a system by a corrupted value, you had the entire life based on this corruption, which is a crime. You are a criminal until the bone. 1. Has any trouble today 18, despite we are 19, it's 18. You will lie tomorrow in the next 20 years and you will say that you are the country of the future, but the future is right now. Then we will check, has any trouble at access of Norton services? Consider the consumer law in Brazil. Let's switch the things. The communication law, is this a discrimination? Because it allows the compensation. One more time. Then 2. Had blocked Norton connection through the Google DNS criminal offender. Why are you so concerned in blocking my communication? I'm doing the development of IT crime research, things in benefit of mankind, the progress of our society and Western society and even Eastern society, and global protection as defensive line. Are you qualified against this? By your behavior and your attitude. I think you are. Question number 3. And the last one, we will finish the presentation here at this, happy Monday. See? Had been operating, you criminal system, had been operating to avoid legal consequence against specific chairs that has the domain of the system, because this is obstruction of justice and one of the reasons to put you all on jail. Guts, courage, who is the judicial power that you apply the consequence against them? See? Have a good night.